Okay. You want record to the cloud?
No.
Okay.
So before we get started, I know a lot of you are on the phone, so I don't know if there's an interaction for your voice, but we've unmuted. Let's see.
I think people can mute.
Yeah,
Unmute.
you're all unmuted right now, unless you mute yourself.
So if there's a lot of noise in the background, go ahead and mute yourself, but we're opening it up so that you can jump in and ask a question. You want to do Q&A now?
Not a full Q&A, but if anybody has any urgent things they want to share, or maybe just a comment before we get started, maybe if anybody was on last week, if they want to say anything.
And then we're going to talk about a couple of things. We decided this week to talk about having fun and lightness. And it's one of the tips in the book. And the reason we decided to talk about that is because, as you probably know, when we're in a state of lightness, it boosts our immune system. And so what a better time to practice having fun and being light. And so we're going to just talk about that. We'll take questions on that. And then also just any other questions that you have. So
maybe to start off with, I did receive an interesting question that I wanted to read to the group and then try to answer.
I wonder if we can watch it later, like 8 o'clock.
Just go ahead and just mute everybody.
Did they say that? Like you can watch it late afterward?
Okay.
Okay, so this is the question. Can you speak a little bit about the dilemma of a couple being in a newish 9 months, but still very serious relationship, and then suddenly finding yourselves forced apart during the governor's orders? Is it okay to try quarantining together in the same household? Or do you see that as bringing up other couple type problems if the cohabitating is being done prematurely out of these forced circumstances? We really miss each other and don't know what the right answer is. Everybody hearing me? Oh, you're all muted. Okay, hopefully.
Mute's kind of nice. Sometimes I kind of feel like I want to mute you and you want to mute me.
Well, let me just start off by saying that this is new territory for everyone, and there's no rule of thumb. So, I want to just say that there's no right or wrong answer to this question. So having said that, my take on this has a lot to do with what we do, which is we think about premarital counseling all the time, because about a third of our practice is with newly engaged couples. And they're preparing for their marriage, they're preparing to live together for the rest of their lives. So we often spend time talking with them about a number of things, not the least of which is communication and conflict management. And during these difficult times, communication and conflict management becomes even more important. So what I want to say about this question is that if you as a couple are having any major challenges in that arena now at all with conflict and communication, that moving into quarantine quarters together would probably exacerbate those concerns that you already have. So one thing I would want to be clear about is that you're really communicating well, especially about the things that have to do with quarantine, such as, how the two of you manage hand washing, how the two of you manage keeping isolated from others, how the two of you manage talking about space issues inside the house. That would be a really important issue, is how you get your alone time. Other things that you would definitely want to be communicating about ahead of time is if one of you is working or both are working from home, how that's going to work out. Another thing you might want to address is finances, especially if one of you or both of you are not working right now because of the virus. You want to kind of understand the budget and how that's going to get managed. So those are the kinds of issues we address in premarital education and counseling. And I would definitely want to do that with you as a couple, or have the two of you do that together before making that decision. So that would be one concern I would have. What about you?
I don't know if I have any concerns per se, but I agree with you. I think that it's just a conversation to have, and it's a structured conversation. I would talk about all the things that he's suggesting. And I would just also just spontaneously, because a lot of what resides in the heart just comes out if you ask the question, what's one of my driving concerns about us living together? And I would want to ask my partner, you know, what's one of the driving concerns that you have about moving in together? And I would want to be able to answer that question. So maybe it's one or two or three, but just to get those out without necessarily a structured list,
Right.
because those are the ones that are really of concern. I think the other thing that I would want to have a conversation about is, what am I really excited about? And what are the possibilities that are there with us moving in now? And so those would be the two. What are the possibilities, the excitement? What are the concerns? And the other one is like, what's one request that I have? Or maybe it's two or three requests that I have of you if I were to move in, or if you were to move in. And what's a few requests that you have of me? And in that kind of conversation, it's going to become really obvious whether or not it's the right decision. And I think, as you said, there's really no wrong or right.
No.
But it's, if you have that conversation, it'll be apparent.
Yeah, and finally, the last thing I would say is, you know, it is possible that one of you could pick it up and give it to the other, or has it. We don't know, right? I guess the question would be, if one of you got sick,
Ooh, that's a good one.
are you prepared to be a quote unquote, you know, caretaker? Are you able to?
How would you handle it?
Yeah, how would you handle
How would you
that?
feel about it?
So I think that's
Yeah,
another,
'cause-
just another important consideration. I think, you know, if you love each other very, very much, and you've got those other things going for you, you're communicating well, you're managing conflict well, you've talked about these things, then sure, why, you know, I understand the idea of being together during this time and not having to shuffle from one house to another and back again. It would be something that I think it's smart to consider. Also, just keep in mind, this is going to end at some point. So, you know, if you decide not to move in together, hopefully it won't be for that long. Yeah. We had another question before we get started on the topic for tonight. Let's see, what was it? Oh, that's the wrong one.
I have to go to the chat
Sorry.
box.
Sorry, folks. The other question that came up, what advice do you have for couples where one spouse may lose their job because of the pandemic? That's a great question, right? So relevant. You want me to jump first?
Go ahead.
You know, it's got to be just tremendously stressful to lose your job and not have an income. And I just can't even imagine what that would be like. But what I would say about this is, there's something called a stress reducing conversation that one of my teachers, John Gottman, likes to talk about. And a stress reducing conversation is simply being present for your partner so that they can share their stress with you, so that they can just really open up about how difficult it is, and for you to be able to hold the space for them to talk about that. There's a lot of emotions around that. And if you can sit with that, and you can be open, and you can be present and non-judgmental, and a really good listener, and just mirror back what you hear them saying, and validate their fear, validate their concerns. You know, we often fall into the trap of having to fix it and solve the problem. We want to jump into either fixing it, or Brene Brown likes to talk about the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, oh, it could be worse. You know, an empathy is right where you want to be with something like this. You want to be with your heart open towards that person, and not try to soothe them quickly or make it better quickly. You just want to be present and open. So that would be a stress reducing conversation to have. And then you want to ask your partner a few questions. You want to ask them, number one, do you feel understood by me? And then if they do, you want to say, what can I do to make your pain or your suffering a little easier? How can I help? How can I be useful? How can I be helpful to you during this time? That question alone is just going to open up your partner and make them feel really, really good. So those are just a few suggestions. You want to
Yeah.
add anything?
No, I would just say that, that's a really vulnerable time. And it's such a great question because it's one, in this case, it's one, but in many cases it's two. But I think at the core of it, we want to know that our partner has our back. And the questions that you suggested are just fundamental to that. What could I do to help? I'm
Mhm.
here. It's going to be okay.
Mhm.
This too shall pass.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. And please feel free to chime in with any questions you might have. Hi, Gage.
He's muted, honey.
I know. I
But
want to say hi to you.
I just want to say one more thing about that because
Hey, Daddy,
Hey.
it's such a fundamental thing, that we're all really vulnerable and, losing our job. Gage, you're on the front line of things. And, it's a time where it's like we're in such new territory, and having one's back and being there is a wonderful thing to receive, but it's also a wonderful thing to give. And this pandemic has presented an opportunity for all of us to receive love and to offer it to somebody else. And one of the things we're going to talk about, or the topic we chose to talk about today, is having fun. But having fun for the sake of what? Like having fun for the sake of being happy, which is at our core what we want to do. We want to be loved and we want to have fun and be happy. And, the research shows that the more that we give love, the happier we are.
Mhm.
And the more that we're able to receive it, the happier we are.
Mhm.
And so this pandemic has ironically presented such a beautiful space to step into and to
Exactly.
be happy.
So, Debbie and I, over the years doing couples therapy, we've come to realize one very important thing, and that is that relationships take effort. And, it's kind of a given, we kind of know it. But then the idea of actually putting in the effort is a whole nother ball game. And when we think of effort, Debbie and I like to think in terms of practice. And when we think of practice, we think of a musical instrument or learning a new language. Sometimes we need to learn some new skill sets or just work on a skill set that we have to make it even better. So one of the skill sets that we want to talk about tonight, and I really do think of it as a skill because I've been fun impaired for a very long time, is learning how to have fun together. I mean, I think it's one of the most basic ingredients. If you think of a relationship as a recipe, think of fun as one of the main ingredients in that recipe. And oftentimes we're going along and we're going to talk about a couple of things today. We're going to talk about why is it important to have fun, but we're also going to talk about what gets in the way of having fun. And then we really want to give you some strategies and some skills to make sure that you are having fun in your relationship. And sometimes all it takes is a couple of strategies, a couple of ideas that you can add to your repertoire of maximizing that potential in your relationship to have fun. And I think it's especially important now with the coronavirus. It's very easy to get into despair, anxiety, which are counter to having fun. And we can live in that space and it can get difficult. So part of this is going to be just identifying that, yes, we do need to have more fun. And then we're going to help you with how do you do that. So, one of the first questions that I want to talk about, and please feel free to chime in, ask a question to Debbie, is why is it important to have fun?
Well, I think, why is it important to have fun? We mentioned it at the very beginning that when we're having fun, we get out of our heads, which is where we think, it's where the ego drives us nuts, and we're in our hearts. And I used to teach a walking meditation class up Torrey Pines. And I was so wanting them to have fun because I wanted them to be in their hearts. And so one of the things I remember doing a couple of times is I said, okay, so we're going to walk and we're going to do this meditation, but then we're going to go from here to there and we're going to skip. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And it's like the last thing they want to do. But I really wanted them to get out of their heads, which meditation can actually put you in your head. But but I wanted them to get into their hearts. And so it was just an experiment. And so I'm walking ahead of them. I'm like, I wonder what's going on behind me. And I look around and I see these grown adults skipping. And I look at their faces and they've got big smiles on their face.
Mm.
And so I think when we're having fun, we do that so naturally when we're kids.
Yeah.
You know, we skip and we do hopscotch and we just play and have fun, but we lose that capacity. We lose connection with that capacity as we get older.
Mm.
And that's why this is such an important question. Why is it so important?
Mhm.
We get into our heads, and that's where all the anxiety and depression and the worry and the angst. And as we said at the beginning of this call, it's like when we get there, it lowers our immune system.
Mhm.
So it's so important right now. And this is such a beautiful opportunity to say, how do I incorporate more fun and get from more out of my head and into my heart?
Mm.
Yeah, so
That's
why.
beautiful. Yeah. So what is it that gets in the way of having fun? I mean, I'm fun impaired in the sense that
Not all the time.
not all the time, but it doesn't come naturally to me. I'm kind of a serious person, and I tend to
Overthink.
I overthink things, and
Overplan.
my tendency is to go to my office and work,
Yes.
and my tendency is to do things in isolation that sort of bring me inside, like yoga and meditation and things of that nature. So I've been thinking about, why is it so difficult for me to have fun? And one of the main reasons that I've come to terms with
Mhm.
is that as a child, I was given the belief from my father that it's having fun is a waste of time, basically, or having fun is unproductive.
It's frivolous.
It's unproductive time.
Yeah.
And I realized I've never seen my father have fun. I grew up and never saw him really laugh loud, or, play, enjoy. The joke is, one day before he dies, he'll take me fishing. But so I never learned it. So I've had to learn it. And it's interesting how it occurs to a person when they realize why they're fun impaired. There's so many other reasons, but once you do realize you want to sort of switch that around, especially with somebody like Debbie, who's really loves to have fun and is way more, out there and active and connected and interactive with lots and lots of people and enjoys that. So it's a balance, and we're learning.
Yeah. What's interesting about Craig and I is that we both grew up with fathers who were similar in that they both had what I would refer to as like master assessments that said, work hard. Like life is about working hard.
Mm-hmm.
And your dad kind of, what you downloaded from that is fun is frivolous.
Right.
And what I downloaded from my dad is life is hard. So a little bit different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so even in the same family, we can download an assessment. I like to refer to it as a master assessment because it can drive our whole lives.
Right.
And so you downloaded, your assessment could be different from your siblings, was fun is frivolous.
Mm-hmm.
Nose to the grindstone, and you're supposed to work, and it shows up all over the place. And you fight it and you see it, but you fight it, right?
Right.
And the master assessment that I grew up with was life is hard. And so I realized that when I was saying, oh God, it's not easy. Life isn't easy.
Yeah.
And I remember dating somebody and he said, if you say that one more time, I'm not going out with you anymore. And I'm like,
Right.
are you serious? And then like 5 seconds later, I said, oh, it's not easy. And he's like, okay, that's it. We're done. And we were.
Right.
But it made me realize like how powerful that was in my life. And I did look at life as not easy. But my dad also brought to the table is have fun. It's a short ride, have fun.
Mm.
It's not easy, but have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I downloaded that as well. And that's
Yeah.
why, we have that difference between us.
Right. So this is just an example to look in your own life as to, if you have a hard time just really having fun, then, what may be getting in the way. I think our culture as a whole is a little bit fun impaired. I think I don't know if it's true a generational thing, but it seems like my generation, I'm 63, has a little bit more difficulty having fun than the younger generation today, in their 20s perhaps. But there's all sorts of other reasons why people don't go out and have, especially active fun, like, you know, jumping up and down, fun, kind of belly laugh fun, because it can be kind of disruptive to your system if you're not that type of person.
Yeah. So, okay, I want to go back to the master assessments because they're so foundational to our thoughts, our emotions, and our behavior, right? And so, what do you do if you have a master assessment that is just like life is serious?
Yeah.
Another master assessment, by the way, is that life is scary. And so this pandemic is activating for a lot of people that life is scary, it's dangerous, and I have to be really concerned. So
which makes it even more difficult.
Which
to have
makes
fun
it even
right
more
now.
difficult. Yeah. So when we identify a master assessment, whether it's life is scary, life is dangerous, like fun is frivolous, it's really important to see it, because only in seeing it can we transform it. So Craig here, his master assessment is fun is frivolous. Am I right? Is that it?
I have fun is frivolous, fun is not productive, and I also
Not
have
productive.
life is hard.
Life is hard.
Yeah.
Life is hard and fun is frivolous. And so in order to like bypass that, he has to download another assessment that kind of cancels it out and focus on that. So another assessment that you could download is fun is essential.
Fun is essential. Yeah.
Fun is
right.
At who I am at my core.
It's integral.
It's integral
to a happy person.
Right.
Yeah.
Or fun is, and fun is healthy. And so whatever he downloads is up to him, the wording. But then the practice, as he likes to say, I like to say you play with it, but is to focus on that new assessment. And that way you're able to bypass it. Just see it when it comes up and then go to another one.
Gotcha. So a question that might come up from some of you if you're thinking about this is, it's a stressful time. There's a lot, that's a reality. There's a lot of anxiety being provoked now from the virus. And how do you have fun when you don't feel like having fun? How do you push through that when, you are dealing with a lot of suffering and a lot of pain, and you are seeing people dying, and it's hard out there? How do you counter your intuition, which says, shut down, it's not time to have fun, and go out and have it anyway?
Right. Well, Julie just typed in, just like Helmut and he loves to have fun, and I'm more serious. Right. And so the question is really relevant to couples that are on the same page, but couples that are different. Like, how do you get through that?
Right.
And for us, Craig is very aware that there's a difference. Like, he, like you said, his fun is sitting in his room and working and creating and playing his flute and meditating and yoga and all these things. And mine's more interactive. Like, I love to go out to a really nice dinner, have a great bottle of wine, and interact. Well, we can't do that right now. And he recognizes that that's something that I'm missing. So he said to me the other day, I really want you to have this beautiful dinner, nice bottle of wine. What night is good? Let's do that. He could care less about it, but he knows that for me, having that beautiful ambiance and that great meal is really important. So it's really being aware of what's fun for your partner, and then designing activities to make that happen. For you, doing your yoga is fun.
Right.
And so for me, I'm going out of my way to make sure that you have that really important space and not demanding or wanting that time from you.
Right, right. That's true. And I thank you for that. I have a beautiful yoga space right now. And like many of you, I'm taking yoga on Zoom every day. It's amazing. I have a live class every day.
Oh, here's a good one. So isn't it, I skipped, and I'm going to come back to Laura. Isn't it, and the only reason I skipped because of my eyes, but isn't it that we first have to get rid of our stress before we have fun?
That was my question to you.
Yeah, and what's the other one? Is it common to develop fears of things that you love as you age? Well, that's a whole other thing, but yes, it is.
Go with Kat.
Okay, so so the question is, isn't it that we first have to get rid of our stress before we can have fun? And yes and no. Because if I hold the belief that in order to have fun, I have to get rid of my stress, we may never have fun. I like the thought that comes to my mind is fake it till you make it. So I may, like today, I was really bored. I I wasn't bored. I was actually stressed out. I haven't been listening to the news, and all of a sudden decided to listen to all the briefings. And I realized at the end of the day, because I did it yesterday and I did it today, like you saw me, I
Yeah.
couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah.
And I had meetings, and it was just, my whole body was dragging. So I forced myself to get up and go for a walk. And then I was stretching in the garage and doing some exercise. And so to get rid of your stress, sometimes it helps to change your state. If I just feel like I have to get rid of my stress and I'm focusing on it, it tends to expand.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that you can do.
So you're saying you have to move through the resistance.
You have to move through the resistance and do things to get rid of the stress, and do things that are fun for you.
Right. Right.
So it's not like one comes before,
Mm-hmm.
it's that you work on both of them. And sometimes
Mhm.
what I do to get rid of my stress is fun.
Right. Right. Oftentimes. Yeah. So another question, is it common to develop fears of things that you love as you age? It's an interesting question. I wonder
Yeah.
if there's an example of something that one might develop a fear of. I can imagine that, somebody who, for example, loved hiking in steep mountains at a certain age, it becomes a little bit scarier that, the idea of falling. I know
Yeah.
for me, it got a little bit different when I had kids, and I was having to think of them, not just myself. Beforehand, I was willing to take a lot more risks. And then there came a time where I really kind of decreased the risks I was willing to take, knowing that if anything happened to me, they would be basically without a father. So I think there are changes that go on throughout the lifespan where sometimes you're enjoying things, like maybe hang gliding might be something I would have done in my 30s. But right now in my 60s, I don't think that that would give me as much fun to do right now.
I think there's different types of fears. So one is like like natural and productive fears. Is that
Mhm.
resourceful fears?
Mm-hmm.
Like logical fears.
Mhm.
Like you fell down the stairs yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and
Gage is on the line. You just told Gage that. That's my son. I'm going to hear about that later.
Well, I didn't have a fear of anybody falling down the stairs until he did it. So a lot of times our fears are based on actual experience. But then when they get overblown, and now I'm so fearful of going down the stairs, I'm more likely to fall down the stairs. That's like an unproductive fear. But if I fall down the stairs and I realize, wait a second, these stairs are really slippery when I have socks on.
Mm.
So
Right.
it's better not to go down them with socks. And if I
Mhm.
end up with socks, I need to be really careful. Then I've learned through it and I'm going to be less fearful.
Right.
But if I let the fear paralyze me and then say, well, I can't do that because I'm fearful, then it becomes a
Good point.
problem.
Good point.
But yeah, I think we do tend to have more fears as we get older, but it doesn't have to be. We can have more learning and more wisdom.
So I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about a couple of different questions, like what happens when your partner enjoys doing certain things that they like to do for fun, and you have other things that you like to do for fun, and it seems kind of separate. Like the things that you like, he doesn't like, and the things he likes, you don't like. So how do we find things in common that we both enjoy doing together when that becomes the case? So I wanted to throw that question out to you.
Well, I think we already touched on it, that, you and I have very different views of how we have fun, but we've also found things that we enjoy doing together.
Mhm.
So, one of the tips in the book is really having fun together. Isn't that what
Yeah,
it is?
yeah.
And we have in the back of the book, we have a lot of examples. It's like a whole list that you can go through, fun activities. And, in therapy, we have our couples go through it individually and then share their list. So that's one thing. There's lots of lists online. You can get it in the book. The other way, if you don't want such a structured approach and you don't want all these ideas, and I've done with couples, is just sit down and you come up with 3 things that, again, I rely a lot on intuitive sense,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So just 3 things that will really add to your fun in life right now,
Mhm.
given this situation? And you do
Right.
that separately.
Right.
And then you share your ideas
Right.
and
Right.
see if you can come to agreement.
Yeah.
And it may be something that you don't want to do, like you might not want to
Do Zumba.
do Zumba. And that was so much fun when you did, right?
I did. I did. I went to a Zumba class with her.
I always wanted him to go to my Zumba class. He refused, but when it was online, he was in the back
Nobody could see me.
dancing around.
It was fun. It was
It
fun.
was fun.
You know, and it's something I would never have done, and she's asked me to do many times. And so there's an example of something that, you know, I'm not crazy about, but I was willing to stretch and try it and do it because I know it pleases Debbie and it would be fun for her, especially to have me there. And I actually did enjoy it. And, you know, especially during this time with the, you know, being in the house, being shut in, there's got to be some creative, you know, juices going about what it is that we can do together to have fun. There's a lot of things to do. I kind of came up with a little bit of a list. I just want to share a
Because
few
you said the
things.
structure, but can I just,
Sure, sure. Go
so
ahead.
while he's sharing the list, what I would suggest that you do, if you're on your own or you're with your spouse or partner and you have like pen and paper, to just go ahead and just tap in and say, what is it that we can do together that will really create fun for me?
Yeah.
And so as he's, you know, listing his ideas, just go in and say, what's the first thing that comes to mind, second thing that comes to mind, just jot it down. And then after this, you can share it with each other.
See if any of these work for you. Do a streaming exercise class together. My favorite is I call it asking 20 questions. There's so many great questions. You can go online and download provocative questions. This is not like Trivia Pursuit. This is just open-ended, interesting questions. Do a jigsaw puzzle together. Take a bath together, a bubble bath. Have a text-free day or a phone-free day. That would be fun. Bake together, cook together, meditate together, you know, take a virtual class together. There's so many things that you could do. And, you know, I think it really is important to kind of take stock because a lot of times we think that our partner is enjoying doing what we do and they come along for the ride very often and they'll acquiesce and they'll go ahead and do that.
Mhm.
But maybe, you know, for whatever reason, one of you isn't outspoken enough and you don't say what you want that would make you have fun, or you don't tell your partner, this is some of the things that I enjoy. And so you really want to have that open communication. And if, as Debbie said, if you're both willing to create a list, each write down 3 or 4 things that would make you happy to have fun with your partner and then share that with each other, that would be great, a great beginning.
And, you know, we're going to be running out of time shortly, but I just want to encourage you all, if you have any questions about having fun or anything else while we're here, we'd love to hear from you. We're more than happy to address those.
The other thing I thought we could talk about is another way to make sure that you bring more fun into your life is setting an intention.
Okay, so here is Carlos.
Amanda.
And Carlos says, whoops, oh, look it.
Oh, hi.
Okay,
Okay.
hi there. Can we unmute him?
Yeah,
I think it's over here.
he's right
Okay.
here.
We're new, so we're so
Hello.
excited to be here. This is our first
Hi.
time doing
Oh,
something like this.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to ask your question?
Oh, I was just contributing to the conversation, and during our, you know, social distancing time at home, we've actually been kind of trying to do some silly things like coloring together. And I actually, you know, I have a hula hoop, so I've been hula hooping around our apartment, which he doesn't join me in, but I enjoy it, and, you know,
I laugh. I
and
just
it
laugh.
makes me laugh. So it brings a lightness to things, I think, and, you know, I think it's important to stay in touch with our inner child as we get older, and bringing that into our relationships too can just have a positive impact on each other. Because we were coloring, we were like, this is so silly, but we both had a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. I love the idea of coloring. What do you think about that, honey?
I think it's a brilliant idea. It reminds me, I was recently with a friend, and we were participating in some mushrooms, magic mushrooms. I was, while I was on that journey, the shaman whispered in my ear. She said, "When did you stop having fun?" And it was very profound for me. And I realized at that point, I really need to do some fun things. So I came home that night, and I did two things. One is I started blasting the music, and Debbie and I started dancing around the kitchen. And dancing seems to be a great,
It's great.
great release, and we love it. And we're doing more and more of that. The other thing I did was I really, like you said, what's your name?
I'm Carol.
Carol. I like
Yes.
you said, Carol. I wanted to tap into my inner child. And I decided, I was thinking, what did I do when I was a kid that I really enjoyed? And one of the things was hide and seek. So I asked Debbie if she'd play hide and seek with me. And she did. It was so much fun.
I didn't really want him to go on the journey. I just thought, oh God, he's going to get more in his head. And when he came home and said, you know, like they said that I need to have more fun. I'm like, oh, I like this. So I'm all over playing hide and seek, even though I thought it was a little weird. But I remember he was hiding over there, and I found him. Then I was hiding over there and he couldn't find me. And I remember thinking, I had the biggest smile on my face, and I was so nervous about getting caught. And I was so happy that he couldn't find me. I'm like, this is fun.
Exactly.
And he had to actually do Ollie Ollie auction free because he
Yeah,
couldn't
I
find
lost.
me.
I couldn't find her. You don't have that big of a house. She's a good hider,
know.
though.
It was like the best spot. We can't play that game anymore. But
So we're going to be wrapping it up shortly, right?
yeah, there was another.
I wanted you to address the intention. Too.
Okay, let's see. What advice do you have for couples where one's, whoops,
Oops.
you messed it up, honey.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
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 What did you
I
do?
don't know.
Hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Okay, go
I'll
back.
read it out loud for you, just so you don't have to keep searching for it. It's not my question, but I can read it out loud to you.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that? Because somehow we lost everybody.
You haven't. I think we're all here. You
Okay.
have an audio book. We resorted to battleship, and he refused to play again after he won. So that's
Did he refuse? Wait, he refused to play after he won?
He won and he refused to play.
that's what it says.
Oh, that's so funny. He didn't want to risk losing. Like, let's just
That's
like I'm out. I'm out. Like I'm
Because-
gonna leave on a high.
because couples can be competitive, and I've seen it.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, he completely refused. I was like, okay, best 2 out of 3. Like, we
Yes.
only have a few board games.
That's
This is one of them. And then he refused to play. And now he refuses to play because he's the undefeated, like, champion.
so it's
Right.
really important for him to win. And it's such a great practice to play and be okay with not winning. So what a great expansion for him to just play with not winning and being okay with it.
Being okay with that.
Yeah. I love when I hear things like that. Like people are really tied to like silly things. Like where in his childhood, I would ask him, did it become so important to win? You know, it could be a lot of times we learn things like that with our dads or whatever. But it's really an important thing to see and then to be able to kind of move through in a fun way. Just have fun with not winning.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah,
open
he
up the
had
door.
2 older sisters, and I think that they were kind of bullies. So I think that probably is where it stems from.
Right, right. So
The game ended at around midnight, so I was kind of over it.
No.
I'm down.
And then-
I'm down to play again.
No,
I don't
now
have a
you
problem.
are.
I don't know.
Love it.
Okay, tonight.
exactly, game on.
So I want to have one last thing here that's important because Debbie and I do it a lot, and I do find it very helpful. We believe in setting a daily intention, and it's one of the exercises we encourage doing about this. So let's say you wake up in the morning and you set your intention with each other, and it might sound something like, I'm going to keep it light today, and I'm going to find humor in whatever we do. you just say it out loud. You say it to each other, you say it to yourself, or whatever you can come up with in the morning, because intentions are powerful, don't you think?
Yeah, Esther Hicks talks about, for those of you who don't know Esther Hicks, she's somebody who downloads a spirit called Abraham. It's called a spirit or
Yeah,
the
she's
energy.
an energy.
Anyhow, she talks about segment intending, and I love segment intending because, you can wake up in the morning, and we do, and we say, what's our intention for today? Because it really works. If I set an intention for the day to keep it light and have fun and flow through the day, I'm much more likely to do that.
Yeah.
But what I like about segment intending is that you create a segment for your life. So what a segment for us would be this call, right? And so I thought to myself, well, what's my intention for this call? I thought, okay, I want to have fun, and I want it to be helpful for other people, and maybe even shift them in ways they haven't shifted before. So that was my intention. I'm much more likely to get that if I set the intention. So, you're just talking about the power of intention, and we say the power of intention for having fun and playing, you're going to do it. But I would say do it in segments. So after dinner, let's set an intention to have fun between after dinner and before we go to bed. Like tonight, after we finish this call, I would love to set an intention to having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so my idea of having fun would be to have a light dinner, grab a glass of wine, and get in the jacuzzi.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm open to that.
But if I set the intention, it's going to happen. If I don't, it's like, oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's a
Let's
good
watch the
intention.
news.
Right.
So intention setting is really powerful.
Especially, I think, in the morning when you wake up. I think because you're facing your day now, and if you set an intention that you're going to enjoy your day and have fun and be light, much better chance that's going to happen.
But until something throws you off.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So if something throws you off, you have to reset.
Reset. So we felt that talking about fun, it kind of felt a little bit counterintuitive because of what's going on in the world right now. But maybe it's really what's needed more than anything right now. Having fun, being light, trying to enjoy ourselves, be happy. So, we hope it was helpful for you tonight. We loved we had about 20, looks like maybe 25 people tonight. So it was a really good showing.
Are we done already?
We
I
are.
was just trying to have fun.
I know. But we wish you all only the best health, and we hope you'll be back next
But
Monday.
wait a second, we're going to do the closing meditation.
Oh, yes. Would you like a little closing meditation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we got to figure out how to do this. So just bear with us for 1 second.
Is this it? Mm-hmm.
We have to go to YouTube.
Well, we downloaded, we shrunk it so that we could just bring it right up.
So as Craig's trying to find it, we're just going to play a little bit of music that's kind of gets you in the mood of relaxing and getting grounded, which is such an important thing for us to do during these times.
Mm.
And so as we're trying to find it, here, you just need to go to YouTube. Can you find YouTube?
Yeah, it's on my browser. It's not on the bottom, it's here.
What I would suggest you do is,
I don't think we're going to find it now.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Wait, just hang with me for 1 second because I'm going to find it.
I have to go to my browser. It's not on the
Where's your
bottom.
browser?
Right here. It's right here. This is it.
There.
Safari. But when you, okay, there it is.
Okay.
Got it. How about this?
Can I just
Yeah.
search something different?
There it
Okay.
is.
Is that it? Okay. Okay, that's good enough. So what I'd like you to do, I don't know if you can see me, but what I'd like you to do is just settle into whatever chair you're in or couch. And if you can, and if it's comfortable, go ahead and put your feet on the floor. And if it's comfortable, go ahead And put your hands on your lap, either palms up or palms down. And I would suggest that you may want to just close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. And as you close your eyes, simply connect to your breath. Find it. So often in life, we're so busy running around. Well, not so much anymore. But we're just so busy with life that we forget that we even have breath. And without breath, we don't have life. And so finding your breath and connecting with it, feel the gratitude for just having it and being here on earth, being healthy, being alive, and being connected to the very source that brings you life. If you're still here on earth, and we all are, we're here for a purpose. You may not know what that purpose is, or you may be very well connected to it. But it's the breath that allows you to be connected. And as you just settle in, you may feel your bottom on the chair. Feel your body begin to relax. And as it does, I want you to imagine from the heavens energy coming into the crown of your head. For in the universe, there's loving energy that's there to support us, to heal us, and to create love and strength within our body. And at this time, most importantly, healing. So bring that energy all the way in through the crown of your head and allow it to float down all the way to your pelvic area. Notice what color it is. And if it's not a color, go ahead and make it one. Whatever one you want. And feel and notice that energy moving throughout your body and knowing that every cell, every organ it touches, it heals and strengthens. Continue to bring in that energy all the way through your body and allow it to pool at your pelvic area, which is your root chakra. And as it pools, feel the healing. And now what I want you to do is bring energy in from the earth through your feet. And if your feet aren't on the ground, that's okay. Just imagine energy from the earth running into the bottoms of your feet. And send that energy up through your feet, all the way in through your calves and your knees and your thighs. And allow that earth energy to pool right next to the cosmic energy that you brought in through your head. Both earth and cosmic energy are there to heal you, to create more love and light in your body. And both of those energies are there for you anytime to draw in and heal and bring light and love. And now what I want you to do is create a grounding cord. A grounding cord is just an imaginary cord that begins at your pelvic area. It's as wide as your hips. And it's a large tube as wide as your hips. Go ahead and send that down to the center of the earth. And when it reaches the center of the earth, go ahead and click it in, grounding you to Mother Earth. This grounding cord is there to release all fear, all doubt, all worry, all anxiety, any emotion or feeling that's there stuck in your body that doesn't belong to you. So what I want you to do is go ahead and bring in cosmic energy. And as that cosmic energy comes into your body through the crown of your head, allow it to connect with and release all the stuck energy that's not yours. And as it releases that stuck energy, notice it float down through your grounding cord. Take a scan of your body. All negative emotions get stuck in our body. And take a scan and see where that's stuck in your body. What color is it? Is it black, brown, gray? Highlight it wherever it is. And go ahead and release the energy now. Allow it to float down into your grounding cord and release all the way to the center of the earth, where it turns into pure, positive energy. Feel the release. Go ahead and scan your body again for any fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, guilt, sadness. Highlight it, make it brighter so you can see it. And when you're ready, go ahead and release it down the grounding cord. Watch it float from wherever it is in your body all the way down the grounding cord to the center of the earth. And as it does, feel the release. Continue to release, scanning your body, seeing any stuck energy. Because those emotions that we feel do get stuck in our body, but they're really not ours. And so by releasing them, we heal our body. We strengthen our immune system. And we're able to access the energy that's truly ours, which is pure, loving energy. And now, I want you to take the energy of cosmic and the energy of earth and combine them into a beautiful ball of energy. And I want you to send this energy up through all of your chakras, starting at your root chakra, which is your first chakra. And you don't even have to know what the chakras are, but they're energy centers, tubes of energy that run from the front of your body to the back. And they start at the pelvic area and they go all the way to the crown of your head. So I want you to send this energy up all the way through from the pelvic area to the crown of your head, cleaning, clearing, restoring, and allow that energy to flow out of the top of your head like a fountain. And as it does, it cleans out your aura, which is the energy field surrounding your body. Feel the release and feel the healing. This is a time to take care of our bodies. And by bringing in energy from the earth and from the cosmic fields, we're able to clear out energy that doesn't belong to us. And this is a simple exercise that you can do in the morning and at night. And when you're ready, just go ahead and open your eyes. Okay, so we just wanted to give you that. There's just so much wonderful, loving, healing energy in the universe. And to have a practice to be able to bring that into our bodies and heal them and releasing anything that doesn't belong to us is super important right now and super resourceful. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Gaddy.
Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to, let us know. Yeah, thank you. Amazing. Thank you, Carlos.
You guys are awesome. We have a bigger group than we had last time. We really appreciate you tuning in. And we're just here to help and support you during these really trying but also opportunistic times. That doesn't sound right, but there are times that are filled with a lot of potential. And so we're just here to support you. And we really appreciate you joining in. So that's all we've got.
Nice to see you all. Nice to see you, Julie. Say hello to Helmut for us.
Bye, guys. Love
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.